The Ukrainian army delivered a terrible blow to the Russian troops with the help of American weapons. The Russian army suffered catastrophic losses in its rear. In the past 2 days, the Ukrainian army has carried out several successful strikes on Russian troops in the near rear, which were widely reported on by Russian TV channels yesterday and today, demanding punishment for the guilty Ukrainian channels that are celebrating their victories. The most serious blow to the Russians, of course, was the strike in the region of the training ground near Volnovakha, where several dozen soldiers died. After analyzing this case with eyewitnesses, I can literally say the following. Russian channels are looking in the wrong place for the cause. Until now, Russian commanders have not paid enough attention to the informational hygiene of their soldiers. They finally need to explain to everyone, even on the mainland, that the near-rear training exercise is not a good place to communicate with family and friends, because thanks to the Americans, the Ukrainians have the means, allowing you to determine the activity of literally every telephone set, and when such devices are switched on per unit area becomes critically numerous, as in this case, then such places are always hit. Why do I consider this version to be the main one? Case in the fact that the enemy's reconnaissance drones had nothing to do with it that morning. There was a thick fog in general. The decision to conduct the exercise at this time from the point of view of weather conditions were correct, and this also confirms that, unlike yesterday's footage of strikes in the Kherson area, footage of objective control by the armed forces of Ukraine of the strike in the area of Volnovakha has not been laid out so far, and the enemy always lays them out when successful. On the first day they are not there and there cannot be, because on that day the time was foggy. The surrender of the locals, taking into account the speed of the strike, is also almost impossible. Well, right away I will answer the question of why such exercises are carried out under the nose of the enemy, and there is no other way. If they are not carried out, then the losses will be even greater from attacks by untrained units of the enemy's fortifications, and the peculiarity of each district and the speed of the need to make changes is so high that such measures are inevitable from both the Russian side as well as from Ukraine. And yes, this is a convenient opportunity because both we and the enemy are always trying to take advantage of it. Recently, the Russians struck such a blow near Selidovo. Now the Ukrainians have responded to them, and the situation, as well as the consequences, are absolutely mirror-like. In order to prevent such consequences, it's important to properly assess the cause. A careful analysis of the tragedy in the Volnovakha district convinces me personally that the problem here is precisely the lack of attention paid by commanders, especially to newly arrived units, to the issue of information hygiene of their unit. Considering the fact that I know that I'm being read along the entire front, I want to take advantage of the moment to. These guys were not for nothing. We should take their example and pay attention to digital hygiene again. These are not small things, they're the most important factor in survival. It is also reported that Russian forces have breached the enemy's defenses on the northeastern outskirts of Ivanivsk. At the moment, it is known that several dozen houses have been taken under control, and Russian airborne units are entrenched there. Nevertheless, the exact configuration of the front with the fog of war, especially considering at least part of the woodland to the east of the settlement, if not under enemy control, is a gray zone. To the north of the Yar clock, the situation remains unchanged. The enemy has published footage of strikes on the forward positions of Russian forces near the Valyanivka checkpoint, which confirms the lack of success in this direction on the route of Kromovo-Chasov, west of Popovsky Forest. Russian troops continue to carry out cautious offensive operations on the northern flank in the area of Klishchivka, thanks to the footage of objective control. Positions of the armed forces of Ukraine have been established. The Russian army has been advancing every day for the last 2 months.